are live. Who didn't have a good Thanksgiving? It could be Zcash traders. So we're going to go over Zcash. Is it topping or is this the golden dip? Our model says they're going to wash out 90% of traders in the next 48 hours. Naturally, I want to get on Black Friday in the morning and let you all know what are the key levels in Bitcoin, what are the key levels in Zcash, how important is Zcash, other than the fact that it's done like a 20x, and of course Monero, the major privacy coin, is doing a little gradual up only. Also, love to see that over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, which in America is not over yet, they have 4 hours in the equity market to trade any related crypto project. And then effective noon Eastern time, crypto is loose for 2.5 days. And I'm noticing that Mr. Bitcoin is doing a perfectly good job of holding above 90K, which, oh, by the way, based on the research that we give our YouTube VIP members and everybody in Patreon, if Bitcoin stays above 90K, our work shows a 75% chance of a V bottom being in, a new high, and a banana move. The banana zone, as Raul Paul says. So don't you think it's interesting over the Thanksgiving weekend that Bitcoin held itself above 90? I do. I think it's darn interesting. Now we got more levels. You know, everybody's going to have an important level every $1,000. I think the most important level to absolutely confirm that the banana zone is starting is 94K. That's the Bitcoin miner cost of production. So above 94K, I think you're looking at a new high. And naturally, it'll go to 100 and people will sell. It'll go 120 and people will sell and be like, whoosh, thank God I got out of that thing, scared the daylights out of me, down at 80K. And then guess what's going to happen? It's going to blow through 120. And that's going to start with the December rate cut, which I've compared to a December rate cut in another important year in financial market history, and what happened thereafter, and used it to predict what the Fed and the Treasury are going to do next. Here's a hint. Whatever they do, most likely, or even the anticipation of what they're going to do, is going to have Bitcoin flying through 94. Meanwhile, back at the altcoin ranch, the privacy trade could continue. Our GAN model thinks 90% of Zcash traders, if they haven't been washed out already, will get washed out over, say, the next 48 hours. Zcash has showed no interest in spending a lot of time below $500. The level that I have in case it's a really huge dump is 380. Okay. Now, that shows up as an absolute golden level if you get there, in case you missed it. And it's interesting that our model is referring to privacy and Zcash as the new oil that the economy runs on. And I'm like, wow, oil. Right. It's that important, which is why Monero is up only. And when it comes to Zcash, I got two important things to say. But before I say it, I want to let you know that I am your host, Bill Noble. And if you like these morning market updates, we are here at 8 a.m. Eastern just about every day. You guys like it so much, we just can't stop doing it, even on holidays. Take a day off. Well, I'll take a day off tomorrow. Not today. All right, some other day. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can get the best information possible when you jump out of bed and before the stock market opens. Now, back to what we were telling people, some of what we were telling people in Patreon and what I'm telling you now. I had this idea that Zcash would go down if Bitcoin would go up. It's logical, right? Zcash was 20xing while Bitcoin either did nothing or went down. So I was like, hey, are we in a situation where if Zcash has to go down in order for Bitcoin to go up? And the good news is the model is like, no, we can all get along and all go up together. And that fits with, this theory that I have about what goes up. Well, what no one owns, what everyone hates, and no one knows how to buy. Now, in this case, I don't think people hate Zcash, but they probably don't want to buy it up. It used to be at $30. They probably don't want to pay $400. Meanwhile, everybody wants to go back to 2013 or 2015 and buy Bitcoin for $500, not realizing that Zcash is a fork of Bitcoin with less supply, with privacy functionality. Okay, it's not perfect. It's not Monero, but there is privacy functionality. So what if there's a Q4 banana zone and that's actually led by Zcash? I have the price target here for Zcash at the end of the year and another wild price target for Monero, but you're going to have to hang around for that. The good news is if it takes out 94, the next move is to 100. Now, staying tuned for the Zcash price targets and the Bitcoin price targets, we have Michael Saylor and Tom Lee back on the tape, along with, Larry Fink from BlackRock saying, something that makes sense. Larry's saying it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. That's from Stonks, where you can get dividends. I think in crypto, that would apply to things that have staking yields. Time in the market is more important than timing the market. Definitely, you don't want to puke everything out at the lows or puke everything out when fear greed is at 3, because that's like a capital destruction event. I'm pretty sure that, listening to Toby in the YouTube member area, we prevented that. Tom Lee is reminding everybody he's the Michael Saylor of Ethereum. He's reminding people that 95% of investors have zero Bitcoin. Zero. Right. This is, a stark fact of what would happen if normies all hit Coinbase at the same time. Hence, Cathie Wood from ARK Investments hoovering up Coinbase's stock. For a bulletin from Legacy, gold and silver are up only. Supposedly, there had to be some sort of intervention in the silver market to keep silver from gapping and going and having some monstrous print on the upside. There's been a supply shock brewing in silver and gold. People have paper products, paper silver, and, they think they have physical silver, and there's not enough. So gold and silver up only, gold and silver in the spotlight. Good. That's fine. Because the longer it takes for people to figure out Bitcoin, the longer it takes for people to figure out Zcash, the longer it is for Monero. And Toby's like super hot on Ethereum, right? She's in like the Tom Lee fan club, along with Raoul Paul, who's, actively talking about the banana zone. Like, this all doesn't end until you have a banana zone move. And frankly, I like the way this price action is developing, because it's the opposite of what we had to live with on the downside, right? Market would go down, thud, and then just sit there. And then it would go down, thud, and just sit there. This, around 90K in Bitcoin, looks like just the opposite. Just the opposite, right? It goes up, and everybody may be waiting for a dip back to 86. They're not getting it. They're not getting it. Now, they did get a 6% dip in Zcash. Zcash is right now at 466. Model, super juicy, wants to get it at 380 and says within, 48 hours, you're going to wipe out 90% of the weak hands in Zcash. That would be your Black Friday special. Cha-ching. Get after that, because here are the targets that I promised you, right? So in Zcash, key support is 380 to 400. The key resistance is obviously the recent highs and deluxe algo premium zone at 750. The model thinks the upside target for Zcash is above 1500. Remember, the first print initially in Zcash when it came out in 2016 was 3000. Okay, the upside target it's talking about for Monero at the end of the year is 755, and their sort of prediction for where Bitcoin, at least on this round, is more muted around 135. So privacy could have a banana zone, and naturally, no one wants to touch it because it's down. Just think about the psychological mind twist of the market. No one wants to buy Bitcoin because it's up, because they're afraid it's going to go down. And nobody wants to buy Zcash when it's down because they think it won't go back up again. Everyone's like, yeah, Zcash is never going up again. I'm like, yeah, okay. We're not going to need privacy. Have you seen these like AI data center videos about how much stuff, how much they're building out and how much the economy depends on that? They have Skynet in a test tube. There's no doubt about it, right? The hardware just can't keep up. So anybody who thinks you don't need privacy, you don't need real world assets like alternative lenders. You know, we went through this whole scenario in Patreon about like, hey, what happens if we get a December rate cut, which if you remember, the probability of that was 0, I don't know, 2 months ago. And of course, as everybody thinks the same thing, it's naturally wrong, right? JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, who undoubtedly eat lunch with everybody at the Fed, says they're probably doing a December rate cut. Now, what is the reason for that again? Well, you'll have to go to Patreon and tune in and find out. But needless to say, I think it's substantial. And Zcash is also making a bull flag, right? Sitting on top of that 480 level. If they want to run stops and they do that, you know, you could be looking at a juicy level in that and Dash. Dash is sitting on a trend line support that the last rally launched from. Like Dash loves to do these all the way up and all the way down and all the way up and all the way down. An Elliott wave, they call that a series of ones and twos, right? It starts and then it stops. It starts and then it stops and then it starts and then it stops. And then you know what it does? It starts and everybody's waiting for it to stop and it doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Again, no one wants to buy these Bitcoin forks. Nobody wants to buy Bitcoin Cash. Nobody wants to buy Dash. Nobody wants to buy Zcash. Nobody wants to buy Ethereum. And I don't understand why everybody is down on XRP. People in XRP are getting depressed. Why would you get depressed in XRP when the banana zone move that a lot of smart people are calling for could involve the future of money? In other words, everyone in crypto thinks the cycle's over. Everyone's like, it's done. It's over. And I've already showed this graph on multiple places, particularly for our members who got it first, that this could be a repeat of what happened in October of 1999, where you had a decent rally in tech stocks and everyone said it was a bubble. And then it literally went vertical over the next 6 months. It went vertical from October to March. And someone's going to tell me that this can't happen. I mean, with gold and silver doing what they're doing. I mean, Bitcoin is not hard money, right? We're doing a full monetary reset. We're not going to have AI agents and robots changing how money and value is transmitted. You got to be kidding me. Michael Saylor told Eric Trump to take out $1 billion loan on Mar-a-Lago to buy Bitcoin. Now, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. But Bitcoin at 90 is going to look like, oh my God, I missed it. If it's at 135, like the model says here, or if it's higher on any kind of banana zone move. Because everybody thinks the cycle's over in crypto, and they're obviously not watching the price action in gold. They're not watching it. Like silver was like the Thanksgiving Day surprise move. Yeah, no one paying attention. That there was a surprise move other than that rally above 90 in Bitcoin. It's just sitting there now at 91, which is a very inconvenient level if you're looking to get in, right? Like 90 is the big breakout level, right? 94 is the banana zone level, and it's sitting right there in the middle. It's like, we've lived this axiom this year. Bull markets don't let you in, and bear markets don't let you out. You got no rally to get out over the last 6 weeks. None. And now you're not getting dips, so people can get in, minus whatever washout they're going to do in Zcash. But I still think that dip is limited. You might see Monero below 400 one more time, right? Like Avalanche, just like spreading out, going out into altcoins. Raoul Paul calls this moving out the risk curve. Avalanche at 15. You can't believe what our models have for an upside target in Avalanche. Shocking. Like Avalanche and Sui, the upside targets in those things. Like there's going to be a layer one that wins. Right? It's either going to be because of staking yields or it's under-owned and it has speed for AI agents. It could be the latter. It seriously could be the latter, right? Going back to what no one owns, I don't know. I think Turbo the Turtle is up 18% today. Again, this crypto market is mind-boggling because the stuff that goes up is the stuff that no one owns. Railgun is up this morning. I don't even know if you can say that without getting in trouble, but Railgun and Privacy was trying to rally this morning. And just so you know, just like throwing this out there, we did like crypto showdown on the free podcast. So we actually, to show our gratitude for all of our viewers, right? We did a YouTube member podcast for free, right? And one of the winners of altcoin showdown was Hedera, period. Right. And Eric Trump is out just now with breaking news from the Eagle King saying Bitcoin is the future. Now, naturally, they own a Bitcoin miner. World Liberty Financial is long out the wazoo. I think these guys know what the Fed is going to do. And if you look, which is something that it's going to be very tough to talk about at the holidays. But if you start looking at these layoff statistics, oh my God, right? The announced layoffs, the layoffs that are happening. I mean, this is what's going on at Christmas, for God's sakes. What are these characters going to do if there's an everything crash in March? I mean, you're going to have Fed funds at 1% with the Fed and the Treasury putting high-powered money in the system. People think this can't happen, right? Everybody is ignoring the fact that you're going to have Grok inside of the Optimus robot walking around in 2026. No one is trading that. No one is trading the idea that labor market growth is going to be front page news, that these economic statistics that are affected by the AI data center build out don't impact what's happening. Matter of fact, there's a headline this morning, college graduates cannot find employment and are essentially embracing Marxist ideology. There's no other way to say it. I mean, communism, that can be a charged word, right? Marxist ideology, as in like it's up to sovereigns to decide how wealth gets distributed. This is happening. Now, my argument is the best way out of that is cryptocurrency, which nobody wants to talk about anymore. It's like native crypto people are all negative. And supposedly there's a message embedded in Bitcoin on like the 600th, the number 6 is everywhere. Okay. The message encoded on the Bitcoin blockchain is do not be overcome by evil. Okay. But overcome evil with good. Romans 12:21. I couldn't agree more. You have social disorder on the streets. You have political rhetoric that is heated. You have congressmen quitting, saying that they're quitting because of their mental health, and then they're right back on the tape yapping again. All of this is being ignored. The body of work for cryptocurrencies is being ignored. And what kills me is the crypto native people are out. They're closing up shop. They're saying the cycle's over. They're saying, I'm going to buy Zcash at $50. No, bro, you're going to buy Zcash at $3.80 if you're lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are not seeing this for what it is. It's not a question of this time is different. The only thing that's different is that you haven't had like the blow off move yet. You haven't had the move where everybody goes, oh my God, I just sold everything and now I have to get back in because it's a freight train and I'm missing it, right? Fear of missing out. First people were afraid that they couldn't get out, and all you need is a move above 95 for Bitcoin to turn around on this DeMark work, on this moving average and attack like 104. Right? Let me see if I can get it centered in the screen. Oh, wow, look at that. Perfect. Okay, these moving averages, this is the Bitcoin daily chart. These moving averages are generated quantitatively. So they're not like 50, 100 day. They're moving averages that everyone can't see. Okay, so, it takes out 90. It sits on top of it like the bird on a wire getting ready to fly. And we'll see it at the next moving average, which is at 104. Right? I mean, it went straight down. Here's your down only, right? Down, down, down. It's like, 9 out of 10 days down with this nice little, wreck everybody down to 80. There's a reason why it can't go back up. I just don't know what it is, right? Speed, magnitude, and direction. What goes down a certain way can turn around and go right back up the same way. And everyone's lecturing me on the 50-week moving average. The 50-week moving average is probably near 104, right? I mean, so there's a chain reaction, right? There's 90 where, chances of a breakout go to 75%. There's 94, which confirms the start of the banana zone. And then what happens if it reclaims the 50-week moving average and everybody who just got out has to get back in? What are they going to do? Are they going to pay 120 or 115? I'll give you the answer. The answer is no. They're going to sit there and go, well, I missed it. I can't pay 115. Well, I should have bought the bottom. Well, I'm not going to buy it here. It's going to dip. No, it's not. Right? I mean, in 2017, you would get these 30 to 40% blowouts. There was one of them in September, and then it was up only. Up only. Right? If gold and silver are up only, I'm sure there's a reason why Bitcoin is not up only, but I don't know what it is. You have stonks moving, right? Because a dollar in a hard asset, a dollar invested in a hard asset is better than a dollar in the bank. I mean, Warren Buffett had to throw in the towel and start buying Google. And if you've used Gemini 3, you know why Warren Buffett bought Google, right? That thing is a major league research tool. And if you consider about your own personal sovereignty, right? Like, how do you survive all this? How do you get positioned correctly? Folks, it's buy it when everyone hates it. Like when everyone hates it. And I swear to God, the only YouTuber, it feels like the only YouTuber that is like LFG is this guy, Raoul Paul, who says the AI data center build out will help Bitcoin. And he says the fact that the Fed has to push money in the system, or everybody's new favorite word, liquidity, right, will also help Bitcoin. Bitcoin could get a double shot. And I don't think anyone sees it that way. And you know what? Honestly, I know I've said this 6 times, but I don't really know why. Like, why is ETH at 3K? Well, I don't know. Maybe because nobody's interested in the Ethereum ETF. All right. Well, we're back to this whole ETH is dead thing, right? Oh, ETH didn't break out 4,000, therefore it's dead. We're back to this now. We're back to Solana's dead because there's no meme coin action. When has that ever worked? Right? When people start that, it doesn't work. Now, Michael Saylor and Tom Lee both bought the high, and they do that when they can get liquidity, when they can issue legacy instruments in order to get the crypto and the size of crypto that they need. Now, I'm sure they would have loved to have bought the dip, but nobody would buy their preferred stock on the dip. They have to do that stuff when it's up. They have to raise money into the FOMO. And of course, and I know for a fact, they just scared Michael Saylor to death. They scared him to death. Now, he didn't waver on his view on Bitcoin, but when, Wall Street attacks, his company's stock. So when Wall Street attacks his company's stock, the guy got a little green in the gills. And you know what my answer to that is? Good. Good. Everyone's down on XRP. Good. Good. Everyone was down on XRP when it sat at 55 cents, for years. I think in XRP, $2 is the new 55 cents. Because, you can wake up one day. It only takes one of these, ISO 20022 coins that the banking system needs to adopt. It only takes one of those coins to take off before they all take off. So here's the picture I'm painting, right? Bitcoin has material upside. It's not letting people in. It's as simple as that. Everybody wants to get out, and it's rallying like it's not going to let you back in, period. Everybody's down on ETH and Solana because they don't move. Bad idea. If you get stopped out, you get stopped out, but don't get bored out. That's what Larry Fink from BlackRock is trying to tell you. It's the time in the market. Meanwhile, back at the Future of Money Ranch, you could have, say, Hedera. Maybe Hedera takes off first. But if Hedera takes off, Algorand follows, right? Very interesting view on Algorand in the YouTube member podcast, the one that was behind the paywall. Toby had a very interesting take on what Algorand actually does. Interesting. So Hedera, Algorand takes off. Then you want to talk about a hated rally. What happens if Cardano gets involved? So you have Bitcoin doing its thing. You have these ISO coins where it could be Hedera and Algorand and then XRP after that. That's the second group that could go. And of course, the third group that I keep talking about ad nauseum is this privacy trade, which may not be over. People assume it's over. I think that is a really, really bad assumption. Because you know what? A lot of people taking profits, and that's understandable, right? It's like, hey, happy holidays. I'm going shopping. Peace out. I get it, right? But the range trading, trader mentality is not going to go away for a while. It's not, because those people have had complete control of this market pretty much all year, right? If you could catch these moves on 5x leverage, you're having a great year. You're taking advantage of everybody who's buying strength and selling weakness. They've had complete control of the market. And I argue, as I have, what happens if they lose control of the market? They're not long, or they're shorting it when it goes up, and then something like Cardano takes off out of nowhere. And all this stuff that they're super comfortable shorting rips in their face. Could be Sui. It could be that Sui Solana Ethereum group. I don't see why that can't happen. I don't. Right. And the reason it can happen is because no one thinks it can happen. There's no talk about this. Like, you will see stuff on crypto Twitter where people are like, oh yeah, there's a bottom. Yeah, that's it. But nobody's talking about LFG for a new high in Bitcoin. Where's all the talk about 10,000 Ethereum? Where did all that go? Well, I'll tell you where it went. It went to the back burner because A, it's the holidays and people don't think it can happen, and it can because you have very illiquid conditions. Very illiquid conditions. So again, why would you fade the market? Okay. Like America's homeowner population has stopped growing, like breaking news. Now there's all this stuff, layoffs. Will Gen Z ever own anything? Everybody tilting to the left on things like communism and wealth redistribution. Do you think the current administration, the Central Bank of the United States, and the Treasury want people in Congress left of Zoran? Like everybody used to think AOC and Bernie were communists, and AOC and Bernie are now in the middle. And then you have Zoran, and then the rest of the college kids are headed for left of Zoran. I don't even know what that is. Well, I know what it is, that nobody's seen it in years and years and years and years, right? It's wealth redistribution is what it is. They can't possibly want that. I don't even know if that's safe given our debt levels. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to get money pumped into the system, and the orange man, if they have any sense with Besant, will get crypto going. And I'm hoping Eric Trump on the tape day after day after day is the warning shot that the big liquidity or the big announcement is coming, right? It doesn't feel like it's coming, but if you're long and you bought it, like we had the two breakout levels, we had support at 80.81. That was the structural support. And then the bold trading plan in the 80s was, buy at 82 because that means a local bottom is in. And then if there's a reclaim above 86, add to the position because the uptrend is forming. So far, this market has done absolutely nothing to lead you to believe that won't happen. Okay. Most Americans, as of now, breaking news from the Financial Times, who of course can't resist piling on, most Americans think that the orange man is making national affordability worse. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but he's definitely been catering to the donors. People wrote him checks for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's taken care of them. 3/4 of Americans view the economy as fair to poor, and among those who say it's poor, rising prices are the main reason. There's only one thing you can do here. There's only one thing you can do. And I don't know if Besant's going to tell him or if Eric Trump has already told him or Michael Saylor has told him. They got to get this going. I mean, one thing people forget from a year ago was that RFKJ and the Orange Man were talking about AI and crypto as growth industries for America. Like I saw one headline, I don't know if it's true. The United Arab Emirates came out and FUDed Bitcoin and said no third-party custodial wallets. Okay, and no Bitcoin. I'm like, well, excellent. We want to make the United States the hub of crypto, and anytime these guys would like to start and get going would be okay with me. And, do they have a choice? This labor market situation with college kids, does the Fed have a choice? Does Besant have a choice? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And then, of course, you're going to have an AI Singularity event, and this privacy thing is not going to be the pump and dump everyone thinks it is. I mean, that's been the model for altcoins, memes. Everyone pumps it, everyone dumps it. I'm going to get to buy Zcash at 50. Now, if you get to buy Zcash at 50 in March, great, but it may wind up going to 1,500 first. And if that happened, I think people would go nuts. They'd be like, wow, I could have bought this thing with a 400 handle. I mean, you go ask people. It's like, hey, if you could have bought Bitcoin with a 400 handle and put up with staggering volatility, would you have done it? And of course, everyone's going to say yes, right up until the staggering volatility shows up. And you know what? Zcash, it's not like there's staggering volatility at all. Okay. NAF 6707 says XRP, Stellar, Hedera, Algorand, and Cardano. Dude, rock on. Knox Bill 200K says 200K Bitcoin by the end of the year. Right? How do I feel? I actually feel pretty good. Thank you. Right? Someone's asking thoughts on Polygon and Arrow. Okay, so Arrow is going to go with ETH. Right? I mean, there's a wide variety of altcoins that aren't going anywhere because ETH hasn't gone anywhere. So your Arrow, your Chainlink, your Pengu, all of this, I think, even virtuals to a certain degree, they need ETH to get going. Polygon, we have layer twos that we prefer over that. Polygon feels like last cycle's trade. Okay. Good morning, Nicolo from Italy. Good morning, sir. How you doing? I'm glad to see you. Okay. Some guys like, yeah, maybe we could all get along except for fill in the blank. And somebody says, starting to like the philosophy behind Zcash. That's correct. Right. Mark Liano is here. Our YouTube members are in the house with their cool emojis next to their name. DNT Saver is here. Welcome, sir. Warmon, MJ Hits, Hal Lopez, Alpha Video. Hal Lopez doesn't have to get up in the middle of the night in Portugal to get a market update now. I know he's loving that. Bull Runner, let's go Spartans. Yav is here. Welcome. Driftless Crypto. Congratulations on being promoted to a Spartan Colonel. Your emojis have changed for being a YouTube member for a year. Okay. Brandon says, in my opinion, Algorand is the most underrated currency out there. And Enoch says, dead cat bounce, watch out. Okay. So most people who are bearish think that this is just kind of like a rotten object just floating up to the surface. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. But nobody's getting a dip to buy. And I don't know what the bearish catalyst is. In other words, I know there's the MicroStrategy versus Bitcoin trade. These legacy hedge funds have sold out of a lot of Bitcoin. Tyson is asking, how much is Patreon? There's a $25 tier and there's an $88 tier for the massive deluxe research. Because today's Black Friday, when I start waving around paper, this is the type of stuff that Patreon Platinum gets, right? That's the stuff that they get. And that's kind of a sample. And of course, the YouTube member podcasts, that's real easy to sign up for today, right? Because you can hit a join button. Supermat is here. Greg Ochio is in the house. Thoughts on Civic from TikTok. Let's check it out. Bring your apps to the same conversation. Incredibly interesting. We are very interested in the YouTube member area in SocialFi. That is something that Toby is into. And somebody is reminding me, don't forget about XDC with the stellar XRP crowd. Somebody saying, I bought Zcash at 609 and it's currently at 470. Should I sell or hold? Be honest. Okay, well, if you're a trader and you can't handle 380, then you should call your accountant and talk about the tax loss, not investment advice. If you bought it at 600 because you thought it was going to go to 1,000 immediately, you should rethink your strategy. Okay, if you bought Zcash at 600, if you bought Bitcoin at 600, what was the right thing to do when it went down? What was the trade? What was the trade in 2017? What's the trade now? I mean, the model thinks you're going to wash out 90% of traders in the next 48 hours. I ask you this. Do you want to be included in those numbers? So you have to manage your risk. You have to have your own stops in. So, again, if you're trading or you're investing, if you're investing, as Toby says, you want it to go down, you should be happy. Now, of course, I was inconsolable with this thing at 80 because there was an overshoot of an overshoot of an overshoot. I'm like, is any chart point going to hold? And then I found one of our models calling for an 80K bottom. And then I ran this for the YouTube platinum area. And then, our guys were long off the bottom. And frankly, they can come get us. If this is a dead cat bounce, great. Come stop me out. Come get me, right? You tortured me for 6 weeks. What am I going to give up now with 90K holding with my work saying that there's a 75% chance of a V bottom, a new high, and the banana zone, right? Joe Morris says, stop the FOMO, stop buying the top. How soon 150? This particular construct said 135 at the end of the year. In other words, we'll just watch out in December, right? Watch out for the Santa rally. They got all bearish in equities. They got all negative. Kramer was negative in equities. That stuff's up only. Okay. Trader or investor. If investor, you don't care about the daily price. Right. And if you're checking your position 3 times a day, 6 times a day, you need to think about like what the strategy is. I mean, maybe your Zcash position is too big, right? Like, how do you tolerate volatility? Well, you say, okay, I think this is my position. You cut that in half, and then you cut that in half. And that's probably the volatility you can tolerate, right? Zcash goes to 380 and you bought everything at 600, you can trade volatile instruments gradually. Okay. Misfit sold all of his ETH and is buying XRP and Solana. And dude, you know what? I don't have a problem with fast money. By the way, we want to welcome everybody who's joining us not only on YouTube, but on TikTok. Feel free on TikTok to subscribe to the channel and check out all the videos that we have there. Right. And on YouTube, of course, we'd like to welcome everybody and remind you that hitting the like button and the subscribe button helps me and my producer help you. Okay. Joe Morris says the whole market is going to explode in the next few years. Sam Strong says the top is in. JB says banana zone. Okay. He also says, I can't spell, I give up. Okay. Prothmesia says majority of retail can't handle crypto. Okay, let's talk about retail and crypto, right? Why does retail come to crypto? Well, they come to crypto because they have dreams of becoming a millionaire and they need to make money. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Toby hates the meme coin mentality, and I think meme coins did lobotomize retail, as in if they buy it and it doesn't 10x in 5 minutes, they give up. I think you have to start looking at, the market the way Toby looks at the market, and simply what is the future of money and what is the AI technology trade, which has not been done anywhere because altcoins have been in a bear market -2 spikes for years. Everyone's like, it's over. I'm like, it never started. It never started. Okay. Live It 351 says, thanks for the show on Thanksgiving. Ironically, this started when I worked at another company where the guy was like, you know what? Let's get live on all the holidays. Let's get live on Christmas with Santa hats. It's because, people are on the couch staring at their phone between football games, or they wake up in the morning and, they're off work. And what are they going to do? Well, hopefully they're not only going to listen to me, right, but they're going to subscribe to our services, subscribe to the channel, and hit the like button so we can feel good, so we can help you, right? Nefesto says we need money in the system now, but December 10th would be a good start. You got to watch out for the winter solstice around December 20th. In other words, one of the things that I'm telling people is do not doubt what this market could do in a compressed time frame. I mean, it went from 104 to 80 on a line. You could do the reverse. And Easy Eats is noting that there's no Black Friday dump. Equities are going to close. This market's got 3.5 days. We'll know if it's a dead cat bounce or not, or if you wake up on something like a Saturday and it's gone, because nobody wants to come in for December 1st short or not owning this thing. I mean, hedge funds have an opportunity to get involved at really low prices. So they got to ask themselves, are we going to chase it when it goes up? I think maybe they would prefer to chase it, and I'm fine with that, right? Because my people are all long at lower levels. All right, people, that is the market update for today. Hit the like button on the way out. We will see you tomorrow.